The COMESA Business Council is working towards an integrated digital common payment policy for micro, small and medium enterprises within the COMESA region. On 20th and 21st January 2021, Kigali will host a high-level public-private dialogue on the development of a low-value retail common digital payment policy for COMESA. Speaking to the CEO of the COMESA Business Council, Ms Sandra Uwera, she begins by explaining the impact of COVID-19 on conventional supply chain networks across the COMESA region in terms of the existing payment methods and payment systems.
Now, in terms of the supply chain disruption aspects, we've seen a slow down in production due to the current shortage of raw materials. We've seen this has actually been aggressed because of the inputs that we're importing from our neighboring countries in the region and our trading partners in China. And it has also created a gap in terms of providing basic necessities to our consumer market here in Rwanda, across the region. It has also broken business and market linkages and partnerships and contracts across our markets. We've seen how the supply chain has been seriously disrupted in terms of also looking for alternative source markets within our region. On the upside, it has also opened our eyes to the potential opportunities of setting up shop in various businesses. We've seen companies diversifying into various agro-industry value chains in an effort to respond to the increasing demand in our market. But still, again, to counter that, we've also seen rising production costs due to the delay in delivery of these products or these goods, due to also the high logistical costs that are being faced by the truckers across the border, and also, of course, due to the impact of meeting the COVID-19 regulations. There's also been an impact on how it affects goods being kept at the border. So on the plus side, it has become a very strong call to the region, not just in COMESA but in Africa, to strengthen and increase our regional manufacturing productivity and bases across African markets. So now with the operationalization of the CFTA, I believe we're ready for business, and a lot of countries and companies are looking at the opportunities presented in terms of setting up productive capacity hubs across Africa.
Absolutely.
So the payment system works hand in hand in that, because we are hoping to see it increase and improve affordable cross-border transactions, especially at a digital scale, now that we are all, remodeling and resetting our businesses to embrace digitization across various segments.
Absolutely. And what is the expected impact or outcome of this policy for the MSMEs in terms of intra-regional trade?
Well, it's first and foremost, I think it's important to understand why the policy is even being set up. It's actually a call from various businesses across our segments. We have been engaging for the past 1.5 years with the mobile network operators and commercial banks to see how they can actually come together to cooperate, to move to a cooperation mode as opposed to a competitive mode, and also engage and understand the needs and requirements of micro, small and medium enterprises at a grassroots level. We've also been engaging with manufacturing companies and talking to their supply chain players. We've been talking to cross-border traders, SMEs who are in agro-industry, manufacturing, and also some business process outsourcing market, so that we could actually together a digital common payment policy that is speaking to the needs of this SME in terms of improving, in terms of setting up affordable, transparent, and user-friendly digital cross-border transactions that could be attractive to this particular customer base. And right now, it is actually a very, very timely discussion, because we are slowly but surely moving towards a singular digitization era. And so digital trade facilitation is very core to the foundation of what we'll be doing as businesses, especially when we're interacting and engaging across markets. And so there's a great need to also talk to policy drivers within COMESA on how to facilitate this process. So you will note, as we engage in these discussions, we are looking at the value proposition aspect for small and medium enterprises in terms of using such a tool. And we are also targeting low-income market segments like the micro enterprise. And we're also trying to see how to move them from operating within a small critical market share in the domestic market to engaging into a larger market and eventually moving across borders. But they have very, very key challenges, such as accessing finance, such as digital financial literacy, such as even understanding that digitization can move them from operating in a very small space to actually having more buyers on an e-commerce platform. And so there's a lot of sensitization, awareness, and technical capacity building that needs to be put in place to support this, support small and medium enterprises, especially the women and the youth. And so this particular policy is trying to address all these various aspects. But most importantly, we're also looking at harmonization of about 8 policy areas that would be considered by the countries who would be willing to embrace the policy. And this harmonization would mean that we'll be opening our markets for more business, more trade, more e-commerce solutions. We'll be encouraging the private sector to innovate and evolve according to the needs of the SMEs. And we'll also be strengthening a lot of digital payments using our existing Momo, or M-Pesa platforms and also other digital solutions that could come from this system.
Absolutely. But what would be the cost for both SMEs and other stakeholders such as governments to ensure that this is attained, maybe?
You are aware that the COMESA Business Council, we are an advocacy body for the private sector. Yes. So the meeting that we're having tomorrow is actually an advocacy platform where we're engaging with policymakers in the financial services segment, the central bank governors, the ministers of finance, ICT, and trade to present certain recommendations or proposals from business. So one of the proposals, of course, that we're making is that the cost of transaction to an SME should be equivalent to the cost they would incur at a domestic level or lower. But of course, these pricing structures also have to consider the cost of transaction from a regulatory side and from a commercial side between 2 parties, namely the commercial banks and the MNOs, the mobile network operators. So we are looking at seeing, in as much as possible, we're looking at driving the cost of transaction downwards in order to create an incentive for this consumer market, the MSME, to be able to use this tool. So it is our hope that the innovators in the field, the private sector, would be able to leverage from this particular policy to also develop tools and solutions that could respond to the same.
Thank you so much, Ms. Sandra, for your insights this evening.